Good morning, hockey fans. This is Steven Heisler with HeisHockey.com and the Victorious Hockey Company with the Junior Hockey Morning Show. Today is December 26th, the day after Christmas. 39 degrees here in sunny Florida. Was planning on going to the beach today. Can't do that. This morning's show features Eric Ballard. He'll be on the show all week this week. We'll be talking about World Junior Hockey. God, tell me, what was that? A feather in my throat. Holy smokers. Happening out in the Maritimes today. Good morning, Eric. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
Time for coffee already. That first choked me.
Got a couple hours on me.
Way too early for all this morning. Eric, Boxing Day, World Junior Hockey, day after Christmas. This whole week should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is arguably probably the most favorite time of year for me. You know, it's right after the holiday, and you get to sit and watch World Juniors for an entire week plus. And I look forward to this time of year. It's a coach junior for quite a few years, and to see these young men represent their country and play on a world stage is pretty fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the matchups already starting today.
You know, it's interesting because this is like the last opportunity for these kids to play for that logo on the front of their sweater. They're not getting paid anything. They may be thinking about NHL contracts down the line, and a lot of these kids will certainly end up in the National Hockey League. But they play for the heart, and they play for their country, and play for their team, and that's kind of refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's like you said, it's their last shot to represent their country, but it's probably one of the most purest forms of the game. A lot of these athletes, they're all vying for NHL status, and whether it's getting drafted or already being drafted. So yeah, it's there's no question. I think it's pretty impressive to see, and each country does a great job of showcasing their best. So let the game start.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it this morning. 4 games on the schedule: Finland, Switzerland, Austria, Sweden, United States and Latvia, and Canada and the Czech Republic. Looking at the Finland-Switzerland game today, how do you feel about the Switzerland's chances at all?
Switzerland has come on in the last couple of years. They've gotten better. Obviously, they have a big opponent ahead of them with Team Finland. I think that it's going to be tough. Finland's got 15 NHL draft picks on that roster, and it makes I'm not even quite sure how many Switzerland actually has, if any. But they're not in the same ballpark for the most part with the Finns. But needless to say, it's going to be a great game. But I definitely have Finland over Switzerland in this one.
Switzerland every cycle either gets regulated or promoted back and forth pretty consistently, and it's hard to break out of that second group status. And then they come up to the top group. Every team that does it suffers, but it's good for the game, right? So the Swiss just want to stay in the top group, while Finland thinks they can win the whole thing. So my pick today is going to be Finland. What do you think?
Oh, Finland, definitely. I have Finland as well.
You got that? Okay. We have Ballard for Finland, so we're both picking the same thing. So he can't beat me on this game.
No.
Next game was Austria and Sweden. Austria opens the event against one of Europe's top teams. As a result, everyone is going to get a first-hand glimpse of Sweden. They're absolutely loaded. I don't know if Austria can keep it close. Sweden has a heck of a hockey team.
Yeah, the Swedes, again, another country that's really come on as of late. Obviously the Finns and Swedes have been good for years. So you say, come on, as late. That's not proper to say that. They've always been good. And I've taken more of an interest in Sweden now, just because I'm sure you remember Rikard Granberg. Rikard was over here coaching the America West League at the time. Was Great Falls Americans, and was in AAA circuit there with Cheddars out of Salt Lake, and I got to know Ricard really well, and he's done really well over there with their national team. So um, Sweden for sure in this one. They've got 17 NHL draft picks on that roster. I really do see they're a big team to beat as well, and I'm not quite sure Austria has what it takes to beat Sweden in this opening game.
The sleeper game, I think, is the United States and Latvia. The U.S. can make a big mistake by overlooking Latvia. I hope they don't do that today. The U.S. is loaded. They're picked to be one of the favorites with Canada, but don't take these Latvians as weak brothers, because they're always good between the pipes. They have a good coaching staff, and they're definitely focused on doing something in this tournament.
Yeah, there's no question. Anybody can win, right? Like you can get a single game just from anybody. And you're right. If the Americans don't walk into that game prepared for anything, these international series, sometimes if you're not ready, you take a period off, you take a couple shifts off. Next thing you know, you're climbing back. But yeah, you're right. The U.S. team is loaded. I mean, they think they've got 19 or 20 draft picks on that team. So, and seeing some of the names, it's Minnesota. The U.S. team is going to be the powerhouse as well. There's no question. They should be in the top running for the gold.
So we're both equal. 3 picks. They're all 3 the same picks. We're going to go 4 for 4 today.
I think, buddy. I think we're going to have to go 4 for 4. I don't know if I want to take anybody against Canada right now.
Yeah, Canada is playing the Czech Republic. There's always going to be added pressure on the home team, no matter what. But Canada, especially this year with all the turmoil within Hockey Canada, it's not really this team's fault. It wasn't these boys that misbehaved in the past, but the whole game is kind of taking a hit by what happened with the World Junior teams of the past in Canada. And I think across the board, we are all suffering now because of what happened there. I think everybody's more careful. But the Czechs could be looking at this opportunity and this trouble that Canada is having as their opening for today. I think Canada will persevere. They're a strong club, a lot of personality, a lot of character. I think they're going to be fine today, but don't overlook the Czech Republic. They've been successful in the past, and this is kind of a catch-up game for them. They can really sneak up and bite Canada if Canada's not careful.
Yeah, I think the Czech Republic, if anybody's got an opportunity for somewhat of an upset or to keep it close, might be the Czechs. But you're right. I think the turmoil and the situation was going on north of the border here for us. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure these kids are feeling much of it, other than the fact the pressure to completely compete at a very high level to represent their country and maybe drag that perception out of the depths a little bit. So. But probably most of these kids and most of these programs are probably keeping these kids insulated. It wasn't this group of young men that made those poor choices. So, but you're right. I'm assuming it's obviously it's a big deal north of the border. So I definitely see Canada taking Latvia out. Maybe close to start, but I think Canada's just their depth. They're just going to keep coming. They've got so much depth on that roster. It's that team is impressive as well, but. They're the Czech Republic can make it interesting. Let's see how it goes.
Is this tournament going to be difficult with the Russians not being a part of it? Is this going to have an asterisk next to it, whoever wins this thing?
That's a great question. I think with the Russians not being there, I mean, obviously they're a top team every year. People, this, you're in the business more than anybody. People are always going to find a way to criticize and ridicule. And the Russians not being in, it does open up the door for someone else to step in and be a top team where you might see a Czech Republic or even a Latvia jump into those spots. But, it's unfortunate what's going on over there. But, I don't know if there'll be an asterisk next to it or not. I just think everybody's kind of focused on trying to win. And, it's I think right now Russia's probably not a big part of the conversation.
When all throughout time, the last 25, 30 years, the game has come together as an entirety worldwide when we had trouble. When the Litvinov airplane went down in Russia, we all supported Russia. When the guys got into the limousine accident with the Detroit Red Wings, we all supported the Red Wings during that time. The Humboldt Broncos bus crash, we all supported the game. And we all loved each other for that during those times. Let's not forget, these Russian players, a lot of them are having a fight right now. A lot of those kids aren't playing hockey. They're carrying a gun. And a lot of top prospects that should be in this tournament are not. And God only knows where they are or where their brothers are or where their friends are. And that's going to take a toll on the game, not just in Russia, but for all of us. Most of these Russian kids, a lot of them have played here in the United States. We all have friends that are from there. And it's hard. You know, Ukraine is in the same boat. They're getting bombed left and right. A lot of Ukrainian players are here in the United States. And let's not forget those people just because they're battling in a war. Let's not forget that these are still a lot of kids that we've been close to over the years. And as a game, we should still continue to support one another.
That's a great point, Steve. I think that's one thing about our fraternity. The hockey community is unique to itself. I mean, you don't find a lot of sports that rally around tragedies and situations like the game of hockey. You just don't. And you're right. We don't know. You know, I spent a month over in Siberia, representing the U.S. with the World University Games, and it's a different world. And if you've never been over there, I'm not talking about the hockey. I'm just talking about in general. It's definitely a different world. So I couldn't even begin to think what those athletes are going through. And more importantly, that they don't have the opportunity to represent their country in the games this year. So you're right. You have to be mindful, compassionate, and understanding, and hold it near and dear to you, because some of these kids' opportunities are fleeting, and for nothing they're doing or not doing, it's something out of their control. So you're right. We got to rally for them and make sure we hold the rope for them, and hopefully things will work out long term.
I remember back in the 80s, early 80s, mid 80s, when in Anchorage, when the Air Force would scramble the AWACS planes because we had Russian Bear bombers off the coast of Alaska. And I remember, going under our chairs at school and nuclear war drills. What are you going to do during nuclear war? And now, maybe after the Russian Red Army started visiting and touring North America with their hockey team, there hasn't been that hatred for anybody after we kind of broke that ice, and the game has evolved. It's hard to be a Montreal Canadiens supporter of any type, but otherwise, I think that the game is probably more embracing now than any other time in history.
Yeah, Alaska. Russia's a canoe ride for those guys, so it's not too far away, and things have changed. Things have evolved, and these international series, the World Juniors and some of these international games, they've really come. I mean, it's been great to see over the last 15, 20 years how much it happens, how frequent it happens. Like I said, these are impressive times to see other countries and how they prepare, and other programs and kids, and it's exciting. I'm excited for this week. Like I said, I appreciate you asking me to come on, because, like I said, I spend a lot of time watching these World Juniors.
Well, it'll be a lot of fun watching the games today, folks. We hope that you are able to watch 2 or 3 or 4. I think we'll be watching all 4 here. Eric will as well. There's no bragging rights today. We all picked the same team. So, we're going to be tied no matter what, right? So
Exactly. There's no winners and no losers, at least between you and I today.
Not today. So, folks, be back tomorrow. Until then, we hope